exit your body through your lower opening. We could call that farting. Good morning, mushrooms, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers, sisters, mothers, misters, and to all my cousins out there around the world. It's time to plug in. Let's get the train chugging. And so COVID-19 is killing Americans at a staggering rate. Not only are we having this amazing wave of infections, a surge of contamination and contagion, but well, it's also killing people at a staggering rate. Now, to stagger is the way somebody walks when they've had too much to drink. It implies being a bit off balance and back and forth. Now, I said when somebody is too drunk, or let's say you get hit, let's say somebody hits you in the head really hard and you're a bit confused. Maybe you're seeing stars, those little birds are spinning around your head like in the cartoons, and you're just staggering about, momentarily confused. Well, that's right. This rate is so staggering, it's almost disorienting. Yeah, people don't know what's going on, and you're just so shocked you're thrown off balance. But let's learn more in the caption below. The U.S. has surpassed 100,000 new daily COVID cases for the 27th consecutive day in the row. And yes, as I said, we had the Thanksgiving weekend, the number one travel weekend in the United States of America. And so things looks like things are going to be getting worse, because as people travel, they're spreading the virus, and the worst part is often to those who are closest to them, not physically, but emotionally, their family members. To pass, and sur, the prefix meaning over, and so it has gone over. Now, they keep using this word for the amount of COVID cases. I don't like it, though, because when you're passing over or surpassing something, often we see that as some sort of achievement, something amazing that you have done, and these are sad, bad numbers. I would just say passed or topped. But that's that, and consecutive means in a row, just like I can give you a few consecutive numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or consecutive letters of the alphabet, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T. And so that's 27 days in a row without break of 100,000 or more cases. Shocking and scary. Let's move on. Top health officials agree that Americans who traveled for Thanksgiving should get tested, but not every one of these top officials or experts has the same opinion, and this is where they differ. And that means how their opinions are different. So there is a verb related to being different, to differ. A differs from B in that blah 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 blah. Two, this is where they differ. Do we know? Have I read the article? No, but you can, and let me know. Fill me in. However, I saw another headline that says people who traveled this weekend just ought to assume that they've been infected. That's scary. Let's move on. Not everyone went home for Thanksgiving. Other people decided to go to secret warehouse parties, and several of these parties in New York City were discovered, got found out by the authorities, and then got shut down. They got closed. Everybody was pushed out, the party was stopped, and the doors were locked. Presumably, there are probably some arrests made. I didn't read the article, and so I have no further details. But, as you know, to shut something down, much like many of the businesses and the majority of some countries' economies during the pandemic, unfortunately, but to get shut down, to more formally would be to be shut down. However, get is a little bit more proactive, and we like those proactive verbs here in the English language. Let's move on. Some good phrasal verbs here coming out of North Korea. Kim Jong-un is cutting off his economic lifeline, China, to stave off COVID-19. Now, if we're cutting something off, we're not talking about Anne Boleyn's head or a criminal's hands, but yes, if you're cutting something off, it means that you are severing, fancy word for cutting, ties to it. You are stopping something from happening or removing that from your life. And so yes, he's cutting off his economic lifeline, just like if you were thrown off of a ship in the middle of the sea. There would be a little alarm, man overboard, and then they'd throw you one of those orange flotation rings, and that would probably be attached to a rope. That's your lifeline. And so that's what is saving your life. That's what's keeping you alive. And he is cutting it off because, well, he's afraid that contamination, contagion, COVID is coming in from China. And so he's trying to stave off COVID-19. Technically, stave is plural of staff. And I'm not talking about the people who work in an office. I'm talking about that big sort of walking stick like Gandalf had, Gandalf's staff. The plural would be stave. And to stave something off means to help prevent it from happening or slow it down, to delay it from happening, more likely. Now, because this is related to large poles or pieces of wood, it is similar to stake out, which we had last week on the show. If you are staking out your territory, it's like you're putting those little wooden stakes in the ground to delineate that this area is mine in a figurative fashion. Well, in this case, to stave something off, it's like you're putting in some wooden fence posts and putting up a rudimentary fence, which would then slow down and or impede the progress of an attacker or something like that. And so to stave something off, you get that visual sort of thing, to stake out or then to stave off. Yeah? Well, that's it. Some of that visual vocabulary that, as I said, we hold so near and dear here at the show. Moving on. Poor Joe Biden can't catch any breaks here. He was out playing with his dog, and Biden has hairline fractures in his foot after slipping while playing with his dog, probably on the wet morning grass or something. He slipped and fell. I don't know if he fell actually, but now he has hairline fractures in his foot. A fracture is a little bit less than a break. It's a small crack. And how small? It's not a big one. It's just like a hair. Yeah, that's why we call it a hairline fracture. It's very, very thin. Probably didn't go clean through the bone. Oh, geez, sorry. I was so caught up and in the rhythm of things, I didn't see you guys over here. Good morning, said Ned. Oh, yes, for Mr. Phrasal Verb Janes. They are an object of my affection. Good morning, Nihan, my dear. And yes, to my mama mushroom and mushroom son, good morning to you, my fun guys and fun gals. All right, let's just keep this ship on course and not deviate too much. Moving on. Biden prepares to inherit Trump's immigration policies, not to mention inheriting his foreign policy disasters, etc. But to inherit something much like you might get the house of your parents after they pass away, that is to inherit, where things are passed down usually to successive generations. However, it could be successive presidencies. So from one after the other, he's handing that down to the next person who comes after him. To inherit something, yes, typically from parents, but can be from your predecessor in a job or something like that. And that's a job. Moving on. Last week we had the mysterious silver monolith in Utah, which then, it was in a secret location, but then sleuths or people investigating on Google Earth managed to track it down and locate it, and therefore people tried to visit it in this very remote and dangerous area. However, they had been filming. It turns out the mystery seems to have been solved. It turns out that they had been filming previously some Westworld episodes in that area, and so probably somebody left it behind or put it there as a joke. Well, now, poof, it's gone. It has vanished. It has disappeared. And when we use vanish, it basically means the same thing as disappear. However, it often implies in an inexplicable fashion. We don't know how or why. It just vanished. And so, well, the conspiracy theory about aliens and or some other mysterious occurrences was solved, and then it disappeared just to keep that conspiracy theory ball rolling, I guess. I don't know. Let's keep it moving. There is fury over France's proposed security law, and that fury has erupted all across the country. Now, I've heard students mispronounce this word countless times, and it's not furry. Furry has two R's, and furry is cute and adorable, much like my puppy or a chinchilla. But this is not cute and cuddly. Fury is extreme anger, rage. Yeah, think about the word furious. The adjective that means very, very mad. Ta-da! That's where it comes from. And there's fury over France's proposed security law, talking about freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and so on. But that's a different can of worms. Dare I say, the box of Pandora. So let's just keep it rolling, huh? Cher, that's right, the musical performer, the iconic musical performer, helps rescue the world's loneliest elephant after decades in captivity. I forgot to highlight that. If you're in captivity, you are a captive, and that's related to having been captured. And so that elephant was taken from the wild and held in captivity. It was in custody? No, because that usually implies by the police. It was probably in a circus or a zoo all by itself, and it was very, very lonely. And that's that sad feeling you get when you're all by yourself. Now, you can be alone without being lonely. Lonely is a feeling, a sentiment, not a physical condition. And that's just a nice superlative. The world's loneliest elephant. And it's heartwarming because Cher has rescued the elephant. What she did with it, I do not know. But that's last weekend. Elephant that fell down a well, and now we got Cher rescuing a different elephant. All right, elephants all over the place. Moving on. Was Chopin gay? New revelations have come to light, apparently, from some of his manuscripts and notes detailing his sexual encounters, I believe. And so the awkward question in one of the EU's worst countries for LGBTQ rights. And that's right, in case you are unaware, that is Poland. Now, you might have known that because Chopin was a famous composer from Poland, and it's also famous for being the EU's worst country for LGBTQ rights. Awkward, very strange, uncomfortable to discuss in a public fashion. It makes people feel a little bit uneasy because it's maybe skirting around some improprieties or taboo issues. Those things that are not to be mentioned. Yeah, somebody's got a case of the Mondays. Yeah, he needs, that's what I say, man. I understand you're just playing with your dog, but Mr. Biden, look after yourself. Chilly chill, man. Yes, wait till you, at least till you get into office, then go ahead and hurt yourself. Miss Harris will do a fine job, I'm sure. All right, let's keep it rolling. Well, it's always a crowd pleaser. Manson news. All right, the California governor has denied parole for the Manson family member Leslie Van Houten. Hooten? I don't know. I don't give a darn tootin' because I'm rooting for her to stay in prison. That's right. Parole is that conditional release. After X amount of time served and good behavior, often the police will let you out of prison before the completion of your sentence, and so you can go back to society and participate in things because you've been a good boy or a good girl and you've been punished enough. Well, she asked for parole, that conditional release, and the judge said, no. No. Sorry, the Manson killings were horrific slayings, violent in a very violent fashion of yeah, well, either way, you're staying in jail because for many, many years you were relatively unrepentant and you've made no effort to atone for your sins. Actually, I don't know if that's true. I'm just trying to draw out some more vocabulary and recycle from weeks past. But, yeah, judge says, no, you're staying behind bars and remaining in custody, young lady. Not so young anymore. She's quite old. You don't agree with the decision, She was granted parole and the governor overruled it. You believe that she has paid her penance? So the governor overruled the parole to keep her in? I don't know. I didn't read the story, and so I apologize that I'm not uninformed. I'm just desperately underinformed in the case of this. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a little too nuanced for me to get into, especially not having all of the facts to work with here. So I'm just going to keep it rolling. But feel free and give me a call later and we can debate the merits of this, Ned or anyone else out there. My number is 555-5555. Call now and we'll throw in his free chamois. All right. Mike Tyson was back. Mike Tyson is back in the ring. Apparently, at the tender young age of 54, he has decided to get back into the game of boxing. And I read some article that says he made this decision to get back into shape and get back into the ring due to a vision quest that he had with toad venom. That's right, where they scrape the poison off of a toad and then they burn your arm and put the poison in there, and then you start vomiting and have incredible visions. And his visions told him to get back into boxing. Apparently, his comeback, because he was coming back into the world of boxing from a retirement, apparently temporary, but it ended in a draw, in a tie. There was no official winner of the match, and I did catch a glimpse of a little interview with him after the match, and he did say that he was smoking the marijuana before he got into the ring against his competitor. I'm not one to comment, but I don't really, maybe I just don't see how that could be truly a performance-enhancing drug for such a violent and athletically intensive sport like boxing. But hey, that's just me. Let's move on. Ski resorts are bracing for the season from hell. Yes, if you're bracing for something, a brace is something that holds you in place or keeps you more rigid, keeps you stable. Like when the airplane is going to crash and they yell, brace, brace, brace. It means to brace yourself for the impact, right? And so they're supposed to hold on to something to stabilize because you know what? It's going to be a tough year. There's probably not going to be so many customers. They're not going to make as much money, I'm assuming, or it could be really weird. I don't know. But if you're bracing for an emergency, it means to prepare yourself for some difficult times ahead. Yeah? Learn it, know it, love it, live it. Ta-da! North Korean hackers are suspected of targeting vaccine maker in a cyber attack. They are suspected of. Nice reduced passive there. Suspected of a crime of murder? No, but as you know, after prepositions, we love gerunds for targeting a vaccine maker. They were going after trying to get the vaccine maker because, well, if there's any way to endear yourself to the global population, that's to try and do damage to the very people who are trying to solve this pandemic. North Korea, you're not helping your public image here. Come on. Jeez. You could have thought that through a little bit better, I think, but whatevs. Moving on. Another idyllic Italian village selling houses at $1. There's been some successes and failures in these attempts to repopulate aging and crumbling Italian villages and countryside. But yes, we have another idyllic Italian village. Yes, it is basically a paradise. Ta-da! Yeah. And so that's a word that means like paradise, basically. That wasn't the most idyllic explanation, but whatevs. Moving on. A collector bought every Supreme t-shirt which was ever designed, and now he's selling them for $2 million. I don't know what a Supreme t-shirt is, or if that buys you just 3 boxes of t-shirts, or if that buys you lots and lots of t-shirts. I have no idea what's going on. However, we've got a nice reduced relative clause and passive here. Every Supreme t-shirt which was ever designed. Ooh, there we go. Just a classic example of them shortening up the headlines to save space on the web page because you don't want to use up too much paper. I don't know. Are the t-shirts nice? I would love to try one, but who knows. Moving on. Supreme Court's scientifically illiterate decision will cost lives. Yes, just like we've had illogical, and we've had illegal and illicit, now we've got illiterate. That means you cannot read. However, if you're scientifically illiterate, it doesn't mean that you can't read. It just means that you're going against the information that has been given to you by science. Yes? And so it's somebody who doesn't understand or is not up to date with what's going on in terms of scientific advancements and general knowledge. That's right, the Supreme Court decided that we can't close down church services or limit them to a specific number of members. And so, hey, yeah, everybody get in there and sing together, give each other hugs, rub elbows, stand shoulder to shoulder, and yeah, spread that contagion because, well, that's your right. It would be fine with me if it didn't mean that they were going to then take those viruses that they caught in the collective church and then go spread them to other people who did not decide to be part of that activity. This is akin to yelling fire in a crowded theater, to borrow the expression from the freedom of speech sort of thing. However, this is about public health and safety. You are, by exercising your own rights, it is infringing and impinging upon the rights of others, and therefore it should be restricted, limited, if not prohibited. Guess what? You know, you can do your churchy stuff online. That's what I say. Keep the rest of us safe. All right, what tree rings can tell us about the spectacular death of stars? That's right, as you know, when you cut down a tree, then you can see the rings, the concentric rings marking each year the growth cycle of trees. And you can learn amazing things from those. You can learn about fires of the past, droughts with much tighter rings, or years of lots of rain and wonderful weather where the rings are much larger, or the space between them, that is, indicating that they made a lot of growth during that particular year, or decade, or century, whatever. And so apparently scientists have discovered that we can also learn about the death of stars, supernova, through the rings of trees. That's interesting. I might read that later. Because it's not about politics or anything. It's just about interesting and understanding the universe. Yeah. Moving on. All right. We know it's about to get better in America. Why we know it's about to get better in America, I don't know if because of our egregious use of the verb get, we use it for everything. Just like up above we had get shut down, here we've got get better, get married, get hungry, get tired, get fired. So many different ways that we use get. It could be used in a sort of passive structure. It can be used in exchange with the verb become. Just remember though, anytime you want to use the word get, it's probably less formal, and there's probably a better option that more clearly says what it is that you intend. So, let's get on with it. Dink! Now, phrasal verbs are a different thing. However, usually phrasal verbs have a more formal flip side as well, a one-word verb that is more indicative of what you actually want to say. However, this jumped out at me because it demonstrates that resounding, apparently immortal, eternal optimism that exists within America. Even in the darkest moments, people still overwhelmingly positive and believe that things will be better in the future. That is the bedrock upon which America was founded, and the ideology and mythology is based. Moving on. A skyscraper is to pay tribute to Let's start that again. A skyscraper is to pay tribute to an airport famed for dramatic landings. Yes, an airport is famous for dramatic landings, or actually forcing planes to make dramatic landings, basically coming through the buildings, through past the skyscrapers or whatever. Hong Kong, thank you, Nedim. I wasn't really sure, but from the picture I saw, I had assumed it probably was Hong Kong. And to pay tribute, to pay respect to, often we see that with people after they pass away. People gather in a memorial service to pay tribute to the achievements of that person. And so it's people showing the respect for another person, but this is a building showing its respect for an airport. Yeah, exactly. I'm with you there. That's a question mark, WT flying fish. Moving on. Here we go, on to flatulence and more. Breaking wind and vomiting between courses. This is how the ancient Romans feasted. I'm assuming this has made the headlines because of the Thanksgiving feast in the US over the weekend. A feast is a very, very large meal, usually intended to celebrate the anniversary of something or a victory, etc., etc. However, to feast can also be used as a verb, and so that is how the ancient Romans feasted. Courses, those are the various stages of a meal. You might start with some sort of soup, and then some other hors d'oeuvre, and then onto the salad, and then to the main course, and then maybe something to cleanse your palate before moving on to a dessert. The different courses or courses of a meal, but that means stages, or yeah, stages. That works. Stick with stages. But then breaking wind, it's a beautiful euphemism for, as I said, flatulence, and that is when the gases which are produced by the digestive process exit your body through your lower opening. We could call that farting, basically. There's countless words and phrases used to describe that, but to break wind, that's a fantastic one. Oh, yes, pardon me, did you break wind? Because I've noticed a disgusting odor emanating from your general direction. Whatever, moving on. This therapist fights online toxicity, one TikTok video at a time. Yes, toxic as an adjective, which you probably know, means that it's not good for your body. It is harmful. It will do damage. And so then as a noun, toxicity. Toxicity. Say it a few times at home. It's just fun to say. And it sounds like a terrible place to live. In the toxic city? Ding. Just kidding. Toxicity. Toxic. Toxicity. Remember, anytime you have that itty as a suffix giving us a noun, the syllable stress will follow on the syllable just before that. Serendipity. Yes. All right, Biden picks up votes in Milwaukee County after Trump requested recount. That's right. Trump paid $3 million to have the votes recounted and to expose that amazing fraud, widespread, millions of votes, whatever. Actually, I believe it was a total of approximately 400 uncounted votes, which were then discovered, and actually Biden got more of those votes than Trump did, 257 to 130 or something like that. And so I just think that is very befitting and a beautiful little piece of karma, calling conspiracy, paying millions of dollars for a recount, and then ended up losing in the recount as well. Ha ha, sucker. Oh, to pick up. To increase, to gain, yes? Just like you can pick up speed, meaning to accelerate, or if you pick up more of something, that means you have more of it. Ta-da! Yes! Hey, Fortnite gamer, welcome to the morning show. I've only seen you in the evening at the crossword. Welcome back. Well, I don't know what time it is where you is, but for us, the sun is just coming over the horizon as we cross 8:35 a.m. Only one more month. Less than a month, and then the days will slowly but surely start getting longer again if millions of years of history will continue. Hopefully. Yes. McConnell suspends in-person lunches for GOP senators. That's right. He's saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. No more in-person lunches. We need to... we can just use Zoom like everybody else, or give me a call, WhatsApp, Telegram. I don't know, what services do you use? To suspend something means to put it on pause. Yeah, or it also could mean to hang. You can't see it, but there's a light suspended above me on the ceiling. It's not turned on because I don't like the color that it makes me look. But, yes, in this case, to pause. Moving on. This is actually a good example of when the writers use the wrong word. Democrats deride dark money, but new analysis shows that it helped boost Joe Biden. I missed the highlight there. To boost somebody, to push them up, to help them out, and to deride something basically means to mock, and which means to make fun of something. If we deride something, though, it's kind of to make fun of it, because you deem or consider that thing to be silly and or ridiculous, not worth consideration. And so, Democrats criticize dark money, or they slam the dark money, they rip dark money, they tear dark money, they lambast dark money. But they don't deride it. They don't make fun of it because it's a very serious issue when untraceable funds are poured into an election to affect the outcome of American politics, and we don't know where that money is coming from, filtered through shell corporations, etc. That's not a good thing. They're not making fun of it. However, the authors just wanted to go with that sort of alliteration. Democrats deride dark money. And so, yeah. Incorrect usage in my humble opinion, but who am I? I'm not a headline writer. I'm just an English teacher. Moving on. Though I mean, I like the vocabulary. I like the alliteration. It's just not quite right, guys. You can do better. I know you can. Moving on, last one. And an incoming congressman tests positive for COVID-19. If he is incoming, that means he's coming in. Ta-da! There we go. And so, well, I've got an incoming breakfast, and so I'm going to go collect it and put it in my mouth. That's not quite right usage. All right, let's see. Those are the headlines for this morning, and yeah, wow, they just keep stacking up, never ending. The news never sleeps. All right, cool. Well, back to the beach. Here we go. Close it down for English. Otherwise, that was breaking down the news. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Nice to see you for Fortnite, Nadim Nihan, and anybody else out there watching silently. I will be back on tonight, 8 p.m. with a crossword and maybe a little something else. We'll see, but it is Monday, and typically that sounds like a tired evening. So if I don't see you tonight, then I'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. again, to break down some more headlines and see what the world has to offer us linguistically and, well, otherwise. Much love. Have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye. Where's the button? There it is. Yep. No. Stop streaming. Come on. It's not your first time at the rodeo, buddy. You can do this. Yes.